In our top story, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong says that as Singapore turns 50 next year, it's time to take stock of what we've achieved and ask ourselves what the next 50 years will bring. He was speaking to more than 1,000 students at Nanyang Technological University tonight. And our reporter Stephen Chia joins us live from the newsroom with more. Now, Stephen, it was a wide-ranging speech by Mr. Lee. What were some of the main points that he highlighted?
Yes, Raylan, quite a wide-ranging speech and pretty much a look ahead to the next 50 years. The Prime Minister did highlight that several trends seem clear. Firstly, he said Asia will play a much larger role in world affairs. Secondly, he mentioned that technology will change in ways we cannot yet imagine. In fact, he mentioned that things like Facebook may be somewhat passé by then, and other social media platforms will be taking the stage. Thirdly, he also mentioned that the social impact of technology and globalisation will grow. But it's all based on one assumption, and that's that we see peace, not war in Asia and around the world. The Prime Minister also said that these days there are many relationships, many exchange programs all over the world, so this peace is vital but also much harder to breach. And Mr. Lee also highlighted that this peace has enabled Asian economies to prosper, but maintaining it hasn't been that easy, and he cited the example of current frictions over the islands in the South China Sea. So, uncertainty, one key element that exists. And the Prime Minister also highlighted that young people all over the world are excited and concerned about what lies ahead. There are also many opportunities and challenges at the same time. But he reiterated that while these are valid concerns, young Singaporeans today are much better geared up to face these challenges. And he continued to speak about how Singapore can continue to prosper in the future.
The next 50 years needs to see us united and cohesive with a sense of common purpose. A common goal to make Singapore better, said Mr. Lee. This can be achieved as we continue to educate our students better, encourage them to be bold and enterprising, and to break new ground.
We need to educate our students better, with knowledge and skills for the future, with values and good character to deal with life's uncertainties. We need to create more opportunities for them in a rapidly changing society, which means growth, which means jobs, which means new investments, which means upgrading. And so we want to encourage the bold and the enterprising to go forth.
The rich and poor divide was also highlighted, and he talked about the importance of keeping our society open so that all of us can interact comfortably with one another. This includes the way we welcome those who are new to our shores.
I know that immigration and foreign workers are sensitive issues. We've had big debates about them. We have argued over them. Finally, the conclusion is, well, we continue to need both, but we have to manage the numbers, the pace, and be able to absorb and integrate and maintain the spirit of our society. So, we've got to keep that balance and be able to have that diversity between the locals and the new arrivals, and yet that comfort and gradual integration in our society at large, but also in specific key places, including in neighborhoods, including in institutions, including in universities. It's very easy to work up emotions on this. One incident can cause a flare-up and everybody gets agitated.
But one factor that complicates all of this is social media, where we might lack restraint. Others online may egg us on and push us further than we normally would. He described it as pack behavior. So, what can be done? The challenge was thrown by the Prime Minister to take ownership of this country, to make it work not just because they were born here, but because Singapore means something important to them.
But at the same time, beyond pursuing your personal goals, we'd like you to take ownership of this country. Make it work. Lead it to great heights. Not because you happen to be born here, but because it means something important to you. Because you feel that you have a passion and a responsibility to make this place succeed. And we will help you to do that.
Concluding, Mr. Lee told his young audience that this is an exciting time to be young. Addressing the concerns of some that they were born too late and will have a tougher life than their parents, Mr. Lee said if he could live his life again, he would choose to be young again today, as there are plentiful opportunities and Singapore is starting from a higher base.
Now, Stephen, I understand that Prime Minister Lee held a dialogue with the students in the past hour or so. What's emerged from that session?
Oh, Whelan, he was very open and candid during the dialogue session. In fact, it started off on a bit more of a formal tone, but very quickly turned friendly, and he took questions on any topics that were raised. I mean, they spoke about economic policy, foreigner integration, gender rights, even military service. And one question where someone asked, what does it mean to be a Singaporean? So I think there was a bit of laughter in the room as well, and you could see that people were enjoying themselves. So all in all, I think a dialogue that allowed them to truly share what was on their mind at that point in time. Back to you, Win.
Thanks very much for that, Stephen. Stephen Shah from the newsroom there. Now, in